Good afternoon, everyone. It is David Schlotthauer here in the home weather office with another very detailed hurricane outlook and discussion for Tuesday, June the 13th, 2023. In this update, we are going to be looking at the tropics because there might be a little bit of signs of tropical development in the main development region. We're also going to be looking at sea surface temperature anomaly departures because they are quite concerning regarding the AMO and other factors. So to start off this video, we are looking at the GOES 16 True Color satellite imagery provided by Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com, a really awesome gentleman that is able to encode these images into his website for the public to view. And so what we're looking at here is the entire Atlantic basin. Here's the United States for reference, so you know basically what I'm talking about. Here is the Atlantic basin. Here is the main development region right here. And what we're looking at here is pretty much quiet conditions in the Atlantic. There are no signs of tropical development coming anytime soon just yet. Now, remember that fantasy GFS storm that the GFS was actually forecasting? It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Other than a few YouTubers out there are still thinking it is going to develop. I strongly disagree with their forecast, and I do not see anything at all brewing in the Caribbean or in the Gulf of Mexico anytime soon. Instead, we're going to be looking at the main development region closely. There is a tropical wave coming off of Africa right now. This is pretty disorganized. There is not much with it to develop into because there's a lot of wind shear that is coming in out of the westerly direction. Underneath that, we have these trade winds that are picking back up again. We have had very weak trade winds in the main development region, including the central North Atlantic. That's going to be changing now since the subtropical ridge is going to be building back towards the north, and that's going to help get these trade winds going and increase the easterly or westerly shear that comes in out of the Caribbean. But right now, as it stands, things are looking pretty quiet. But again, there are some signs out there that the pattern might become more favorable for tropical development. So here's a look at the National Hurricane Center, and I wanted to show you all this because there is no tropical development in the next 7 days. I mean, remember the GFS was actually indicating that there might be a tropical storm or hurricane in the Gulf. If that was still in the modeling and there was enough consistency, the National Hurricane Center would put an area to watch. But still, there is nothing out there to keep an eye on, lending the likelihood that there will not be any tropical development in the Caribbean or the Gulf. Even so, a couple of weather YouTubers are saying, oh, tropical development likely. I, again, disagree with their forecast, and you all need to trust my forecast because I know what I'm pretty much looking at. So, now, on from that to now tropical tidbits. This is the 850 millibar geopotential height, cyclonic vorticity. So I'm going to explain what this means really quickly, and then we're actually going to dive into the forecast. So what you're looking at here is two different perimeters, actually three different perimeters. You see the wind barbs here. Those are the flags that point from the east. We're seeing the geopotential height line contours, that's in black. And then what you don't really understand very much, and that's fine, is this area. These are yellow and orange colors, and this usually kind of illustrates vorticity, how much spin there is in the atmosphere, right? Like kind of in the horizontal. So what we want to look for is concentrated areas of spin in the atmosphere at 850 millibars that usually drills down to the surface. You get a surface vortex that develops. And that's when we declare a tropical depression, tropical storm, or hurricane in this case. So what we're seeing here is virtually nothing. The GFS model has nothing out there that is going to form. But what we will be looking for is any vorticity spin-ups that do appear on this model. So going all the way out to 24 hours, so through Wednesday morning, again, players on the field, we have, again, low pressures to the north, so a very active North Atlantic jet stream that is in place. This is keeping the high squashed down to the south and not really allowing the trade winds to really get going at all, which is why the Atlantic has really warmed up at an alarming rate, and we'll be looking at that here in a little bit. But going forward here over the next 72 hours, this high really remains fairly weak, all right? It's also farther west than usual, leading to a squashed ridge, a pinched off trough here, and the trades are really relaxed over the next 3 days. Going forward here, let's kind of go through the next 5 days. We can see there are a couple of areas. Again, don't worry about this area down here in the southwestern Caribbean. Probably not going to develop at all. Otherwise, the NHC would probably put an area to watch otherwise. Now, that could change by this afternoon, but as far as I can tell, I don't see anything brewing in the Caribbean or in the Gulf of Mexico just yet. Now, see this little thing right here in the East Pacific Basin? That's what we're looking for in the Atlantic. And as far as we see, we don't have much out there. However, we do have a little bit of a tropical wave, or a fairly healthy tropical wave brewing down there. But that is pretty far south. And, you know, with the sheer and dry air to the north, because of this high is building in, probably not going to develop into anything significant at all in coming days. And we can see that here on the GFS model. Really nothing at all in the next 10 days, and therefore chances of tropical development are less than 0%. I don't think you get anything lower than 0%, but nevertheless, you get with what I'm saying. Really quiet out here, stronger trade winds, drier air from the Sahara dust layer coming off of Africa, going to keep things under control for at least the next 10 days. Maybe beyond that, we'll have to monitor for more tropical development, but again, we can't trust the GFS model, folks. Even so, it has an area that has been trying to develop on the models. It just doesn't seem likely. It's another fantasy storm, folks. Just believe me. Take my word for it, okay? Don't listen to the other YouTubers because, you know, they're hyping up just to get views and stuff. Tropical development likely. Yeah, next time, okay? All right, so looking at the European model, this is what I like to look at too. If there's any agreement, we will also see it on the European model, and we can see a modest tropical wave here. You can see a little bit of a perturbation here in the height lines. See how they curve like that? You can even see it right in here. So a weak to moderate looking tropical wave, but it's broad in nature. It's not going to be able to develop into anything significant because if you think about it, imagining you ice skating on an ice skating rink, right? If you have your arms out, way out, you're not going to spin as fast, right? But if you put your arms in and you're already spinning, you're going to spin a lot faster. That's kind of how it works here on in fluid dynamics, is when you get a tropical wave, you want tightening of that vorticity, something to focus that vorticity into the center for it to really wrap up and for it to really get going. And in this case, really broad in nature, really nothing with that tropical wave. Maybe some enhanced showers, maybe over the Leeward Islands, Windward Islands, maybe some breezy winds, inclement weather, but really nothing significant. But you can see it here, a bit of a reflection on the European model, a little bit of a northern lobe of vorticity there, well shown on the Euro. But 10 days out, nothing coming at all. So there's agreement here that there will not be any tropical development within the next 7 days at least, maybe even the next 10 days. Now, on from the tropics, looking at the numerical model data, right? We are now going to be focusing on sea surface temperatures for most of this video. This is absolutely concerning. All right, I've never seen sea surface temperatures this warm at all, and they do beat 2020 records. There is some proof to back that up, but let's look at this first. So let's look at the sea surface temperature anomaly, or actual sea surface temperatures, not anomalies. Sorry, talking too fast, talking faster than I could actually think, folks. So we can see here the 26-degree isotherm. Okay, you can see it right here. That is what you need for hurricanes or tropical storms, right? Anything warmer than 26 degrees Celsius or warmer is favorable for tropical cyclones or hurricanes. Anything north of that, not favorable, right? When you just look at sea surface temperature, actual waters, okay? Very, very warm in the Caribbean right now, well ahead of normal. In fact, we're looking at 30 Celsius in portions of the northwestern Caribbean, 28 to 29 Celsius in the Gulf of Mexico. Really warm. And if that's not warm enough for you, go down here across the southern portion of Mexico where water temperatures are nearing 32 Celsius. Yeah, that's very warm, okay? I can't wait to see a tropical storm moving over that bit of waters. I'm being sarcastic, folks. What I'm saying is, if we get a tropical cyclone that moves over these warmer waters, it will take off very quickly if the upper level conditions are favorable enough. I'm just letting you know that, okay? Things are going to take off very quickly this year because of very, very warm waters that are compared to normal. In fact, these waters are actually represented well into early to mid-September. So we're way ahead of normal. All right, so our sea surface temperature departures here are absolutely sickening. I mean, I'm not trying to hype up. I'm not trying to fear monger you guys. I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, you're seeing a very, very warm AMO, which is the Atlantic Mercantile Oscillation. Okay, I mean, good grief, very warm out here in the east portion of the main development region, the Canary Current, the Iberian Peninsula, on fire. Literally, it's not on fire, but man, is it warm. Well above normal for this time of the year. And you can see the dark red colors here. I mean, that is 2.5 plus above normal. In fact, some of the departures in here, I looked up on some other charts, 4 Celsius above normal. I mean, 4 degrees Celsius above normal. So, I mean, if we go back to the other image here, that's 26 Celsius. That's about 80 degrees, right? Temperatures this time of the year should be in the low to mid 70s in that portion of the Atlantic. So you're already running 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit ahead of the typical normal for this time of the year. That is very, very concerning because it just only adds more fuel and more gas in the atmosphere, not literal gas, folks, okay, but hurricane juice into the atmosphere for the peak of hurricane season when it comes in late August into September. The Gulf of Mexico running well ahead of normal. The Caribbean for sure is well ahead of normal. The main development region well ahead of normal. And this classic looking horseshoe, the AMO, is absolutely uncharted for this time of the year. And in fact, I could go all the way back in time to the 2000s, 2005. This is actually warmer than 2005, and it is warmer than 2020 by a whole lot of margin. So what I'm telling you here is this does not mean we will have an extremely hyperactive busy season, because we do have an El Nino that is brewing in the eastern equatorial Pacific. But this guarantees we're going to have at least an average season, or if not, a little bit active than usual. All right, it's just saying to you all that, well, even so we have El Nino, doesn't mean it's going to put a lid on things, because the Atlantic is actually competing against El Nino right now. So it's going to be kind of the Russia roulette, a yin-yang kind of thing. Who's going to win? Which basin's going to fight off each basin, right? Is the Atlantic going to dominate this year and fight off the Eastern Pacific because of more easterly shear, or is the Eastern Pacific going to fight off the Atlantic by producing more westerly shear? It's kind of all questions right now about how this is all going to end up. We have not seen anything like this So it'd be very interesting to see exactly how active this Atlantic hurricane season will actually end up being. I'm not going by name storms, folks. We're actually going to drop it down to the ACE score, the accumulated cyclone energy. I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. So this is from Ben Knoll, by the way. He's a really awesome Twitter guy that talks about the tropics. I mean, wow, he's amazing. So big credits go to him with this image. All right, if you're watching this, Ben Knoll, yeah, a little bit of a shout out goes to you at providing awesome updates on the tropics this time of the year. What he is saying here is, I'll read it to you here. The main development region is well above normal. And when we actually go over to with what he says here, it's official. The Atlantic main development region, MDR, has reached, okay, I'm going to highlight that all in red for you all because this is pretty serious, okay? Has reached, okay, record high temperatures for the month of June. Okay, that goes on to saying, with what I'm showing you here, backs up this with what I'm reading you. It is very, very warm, untapped water, the trade winds are weak, and we're not seeing a lot of upwelling at all, which is going to allow the Atlantic to warm up even further. The main development region is a breeding ground for hurricanes and tropical cyclones and has an average temperature right now of at least 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, 82 Fahrenheit may not seem all that warm, right, compared to normal. But if we stay ahead of normal like this, we could end up hitting the mid to upper 80s in the main development region, and that is going to be trouble when it comes to anything that wants to form. Any tropical waves that get organized, that focus the vorticity, things could pop off very quickly and could even be a little bit more unpredictable because of how warm these waters are. Okay, so now more importantly, this is surpassing the previous record that was set back in 2005. Yeah, I mean, we're warmer than 2005 in the AMO region of the Atlantic. All right, 2005 featured the second most active Atlantic hurricane season ever on record and appears unlikely to be that active because of El Nino. But my goodness, if we did not, and I quote me on this, if we did not have El Nino, let me actually go over to the NOAA Coral Reef watch on that really quickly. If we did not have this, okay, right all in through here, if we did not have that El Nino and we had a La Nina out here and we had this warm AMO, whoa, yeah, it would be a whole different ball game. I'm not trying to hype up, I'm not trying to fearmonger you guys, but my goodness, a very warm AMO versus Atlantic. You better hope that El Nino really fights off the Atlantic, because if not, we are going to have a very busy season on our hands, especially in August and September, perhaps, which are typically the peak of hurricane season of those months. All right. Another thing that I want to show you all, and there's my epic pin hiding in the flashes there. Very warmer than average. I mean, good golly. This is from the ECMWF, the warmest main development region ever recorded, simply. Okay, here is 2005 here. The second warmest, the third warmest was kind of in 2010-ish, right? Look at this. 2023 now beats the record of any going all the way back to 1940. You can look it up. Search up Ben Knoll and you can find his blog posts there on Twitter for more information, because yeah, this is pretty concerning. Another shout out goes to Philip Klocksbog at the University of Colorado, presenting these GIF images, really backing up all the data that we looked. Really, really warm. And yeah, this is comparing, folks, in the last month, okay? A month ago, you can see there, if I can pause this. Yeah, there we go. You can see just how warm the Atlantic was then, right? We were like, it's pretty warm. We're going to have probably a really busy, a bit of a busy season, maybe an average season. But then you look at this and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second. This is much warmer than what we have ever expected. And you can see why. This horseshoe shape, folks, the AMO, I've repeated it way too many times. You guys are probably tired of me repeating myself over and over again. But man, that is that is as classic of a warm AMO, Iberian Canary Current you can possibly get. And this is going to probably be a memorable type event because of how classic it actually looks. All right. Now, I'm going to backtrack here. I wanted to show you all and compare the upper ocean heat content here. This is 2023, by the way, and I'll tell you what, take my word for it. There will be a link in the description leading to this. This is the University of Miami. You can find these images there, and you could actually compare images all the way back to 1940 with upper ocean heat content. And what I'm showing you here is a lot of upper ocean heat content where I outlined. So this whole area in here is all fuel, all jet octane fuel for hurricanes. And if we get a tropical wave that moves over this region, the upper level environment is favorable enough. Watch out, folks that live in the Caribbean, that live in the Bahamas, or even in the United States. Be a big one because of upper ocean heat content. There's not enough time to compare these images, but I'll tell you what, last year we were somewhere right in here, okay? And this year, not last year, 3 years ago, that's this area, and then right now is where we're at. So definitely northward expansion with warm, deep waters in the tropical Atlantic. So now you're probably asking, how active will it be this Atlantic hurricane season? Again, I made a video on this a couple of days ago, and I'll keep just updating you all on the progression of the Atlantic season as we go forward. Of course, the climate forecasting system does illustrate a very busy July, perhaps above average precipitation. Now, you guys are probably looking at this like, oh my gosh, are we going to have a lot of named storms out there? Are we going to literally have a lot of named storms? This does not mean this. This is just a guidance. This is just a model. You can believe anything you want. But again, this is just kind of looking at, okay, based on this, we could have a busy July, but it doesn't mean we will. All right. This is above average precipitation, which means more thunderstorms, more upward motion, more tropical waves that could develop into named storms. Doesn't mean it will. It just means this is going to be the area that might have enhanced precipitation for the month of July. August, it backs off a little bit, and then it's kind of hit and miss here over a little bit of a streak here going through the northern Caribbean into the Dominican Republic, as well as Jamaica into the Bahamas. Maybe another little piece of enhanced precipitation coming off of Africa there by September. It can be very interesting, folks. August and July, or July and August, in other words, going to be the months to watch, and maybe even a very busy October here. Yeah, very busy indeed. So, yeah, it's just a matter of the ticking time bomb. Will it be busy or will it not be? We just don't know. We haven't seen an El Nino versus a warm AMO before. All right, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of models to back that up. Even the CanSIPS shows a really busy July, a very, very busy August. My goodness. And also a September and October looks to be quite busy. Yeah, that's even some tropical tracks going out to sea right here. That could be interesting. So, again, we'll keep you updated as much as I can here on the YouTube channel with more updates on the tropics. Yikes! That was one of the longer discussions that I have had on my YouTube channel in quite some time. I'm sure this is over 25 minutes long, but that's fine. A lot of detail, honest, truthful information without too much of the hype. I'm sorry if I hyped up this video, you guys, but my gosh. Look at it for yourself. Those warm waters are extremely concerning. But anyways, if you did like today's weather update or tropical weather update on the tropics, please consider subscribing for more updates on the tropics. You got to follow me here on YouTube with reliable, honest weather information as often as I can possible on an everyday basis. Share this video with your family and friends. And also, not only that, leave a comment in the section below, and you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook for more information on the tropics and other cool stuff. That's going to do it with this update. Thanks for watching.